right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. This week, I'm super excited to have Martine Chaisson from Martine Chaisson Gallery in New Orleans. And y'all, we met Martine when we did our New Orleans launch. And I just will forever be grateful to you, Martine, because we just reached out by email cold. Somebody said, y'all need to email Martine and see if you can use her space. And because we were hoping to be able to do things in person, and then obviously with COVID, we weren't able to do all of that. And so we just cold emailed her and said, we're doing this and may we use your gallery? And she was like, sure. And that was so it. Sweet. I mean, like, it was just so nice and like just unexpected. And we just will forever be grateful for that. But as a result, yeah, I know. I love it. But we were like in your house, in your kitchen with you. But that's so much about what the Wealth Edit is about, and just like being open to meeting new people and sharing experiences with them. But as a result, we started following Martine and everything that she's doing and all the cool stuff. And Lauren and I say hands down, she's our favorite Instagram personality to watch, even though you're a real person. But I mean, like, I look at it and I'm like, is this real? Because it looks so fun. Anyway,
y'all need to follow her. If you don't, which I'm sure you already do, but if you don't, you're missing out. It's like our favorite for sure.
Yeah. But upon further digging, we realized that she also has an awesome story and an awesome gallery and is doing some really neat things. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Martine, why don't you start off and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Okay. So I started out in fine arts and I thought forever that I was going to be an artist. And I quickly learned when I got to college that that was not going to be the case. I was surrounded by real artists in fine arts and I realized I got to pivot a little bit. And so I went into art history thinking maybe I would teach. That didn't seem like fun by the time I graduated. So I went to grad school for arts administration thinking I was going to work for the ballet or the opera, maybe an auction house. But while I was there, I started interning at a gallery in New Orleans, and I instantly fell in love with meeting the artists, installing the shows, picking the art, everything that had to do with the gallery. And so I pivoted my thesis towards that. And that's all I worked for the whole time I was writing my thesis. Is we found the building after Katrina. I opened up two years later. And I've been open 11 years now, which is kind of crazy to say. I'd like to have big parties each year to celebrate, because after I got past 5 years, I'm like, okay, I think this is going to stick, because I was worried get to 5 years. But now that I'm on 11, I keep on trying to have a party for my anniversary parties, and COVID keeps stopping it. So I'm thinking I'm just going to wait until 15 and they're like a crazy event, like just like a whole week of parties to celebrate, because the space is supposed to be used for that as well. It's not just the gallery. I like to have events as well. And for 2 years, it's been very quiet here, which has been sad for me, because that was the original use of the space, not only to highlight artists and their incredible work, but to bring people into the space. And it was always really great for my children as well, because we live in the gallery. So they'd be like, counter party.
Can you tell everybody like what it's like, because like where you are and then what's on the different floors? Because I think that's important to understanding what you're saying.
So the first floor is just the gallery space where we have the exhibitions for the artists. The second floor is actually our living space where our bedrooms are. And the third floor is a ballroom that was original to the building from 1852 that we fixed and we use for event spaces. But technically it's part of my house. So we shortened the ballroom, put the kitchen. I'm gonna show you, it's messy. Don't judge, but like, here's our kitchen. And yeah. I'm in my bedroom right now. On the other side is the ballroom. And my son's bedroom's up here as well. So we kind of are living in the space where there's events. So I have to sit down once a month with my husband and be like, so you might want to exit the premises if you do not want to see a lot of people on this date, because there's going to be people coming in. Yeah. It's been really great for them, an interesting little life too, growing up and always having new people in the space. They're real downtown living kids, which I think is fun, because I grew up in the country in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the swamp. So they're having a much different lifestyle than I did growing up.
I think it's really cool when kids, I mean, I feel like both of our kids have been flung in situations where they've just like, being antisocial is just not an option. You know what I mean? Like our kid, I mean, that's at least how our families are. I'm like, that's just not going to work here. I'm sorry about that for you. So
You can be an introvert later. You
Yes.
can get home.
That's right. That's right.
But tell us, so just the whole, it just sounds like such a dream job. I'm sure that's like all jobs there's people don't get to see all the hard work that goes into it, but like, how did you make, I imagine this is just me, making the connections with the artists is like a really sort of, intricate process, because like A, it has to match your brand, but then B, they have to want to be at your gallery too. So how does that work?
So at first, it was me kind of stalking people a little bit, asking people would they be interested in the space, showing them the plans of what it was going to look like, because it was falling apart. It was a construction zone for a long time. I got really lucky with my first show that I had was with Hunt Sloanham, and I met him at a dinner party. So I feel like a lot of things are very organic, and being open to talking to people, even if they're not in the same field as you, because you never know what kind of connection you're going to make with them. And I find in New Orleans, especially, that's super important, because everyone knows someone who has a cousin who, it just keeps on going. And I found that was the best way for me to start. Now it is, and I'm so lucky to be able to say this, I have probably 30 submissions a month, and I only have maybe 6 shows a year. So I can be a lot more selective, and I already represent 26 artists. So I get to choose whether I'm going to take someone new onto my roster or not. So it has to be that balance of, obviously I'm choosing the art, but at the same time, it has to be a good connection with the artist personally as well, in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that, because I do say, I mean, just from us walking through and being a part of your gallery, like, I feel like there is a strong correlation between your personality and like the colors and the way you dress and all that with the art. I mean, there's definitely like the art that you're choosing is reflecting a lot of who you are, which I think would be fun. I think as an artist, you meet somebody and you're like, they have that same,
right. We click a little bit.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
click. And so I love that, how you've connected that. And I know we've said how much we love your social media, but I also think it's a great way for you to bring awareness to the gallery and the type of artist that you're portraying. And was that something that just sort of happened organically? Is that just come very naturally to you? Because it is very,
with the Instagram,
very authentic. Yes, the way that you do your marketing.
Yes, in fact, I had a moment where I was trying to figure out if I shouldn't be posting gallery content on my personal, because I do have a gallery page as well. And then I was like, should I combine them? And people were telling me to combine them because I have a following on my personal account. And I decided that was not the right move, because the artists deserve their own space for that, to tell their own story. And that doesn't have to be through me necessarily. Yes, there's going to be like glimpses of it, because I live in the space. Like, I can't escape it. There's always something going on. But I thought it was important to try to keep it separate. Plus, I feel like with my personal one, it's a lot of events I'm going to, what I'm wearing, things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be art focused. And so I like the freedom of that as well. But I find that when I do post on my personal Instagram something to do with the art, it usually sells. So I've been posting on both places to just make sure I reach the widest audience as possible, especially during COVID, because people were sitting at home and not traveling, not eating out as much. And so they were staring at that wall that's been driving them crazy for 2 years. And I was quite busy. I was nervous when it happened, because I was so used to having events as well. And the draw from the events and the people coming in the space, once they were here, they were stuck here and I could show them around, show them the art. When that went away, I was extremely nervous, but it ended up being okay. And I found a way to pivot to making a lot of connections with interior designers as well, who are also extremely busy right now, and working closely with them enough that I feel like I've made some really close friends just because we were in a very strange time together in the art world. And I feel kind of lucky that that was able to happen out of all that mess.
Mhm. Yeah, that's amazing. And I wanted to talk to you about that too, because I feel like one of the things that I noticed about you, I think sometimes women, when we get to the age where we're having babies and we're starting businesses and we're doing all these things, it's hard to like maintain friendships. Like it could be a lonely road, and it is for a lot of people, whether you're like working your way up in a law firm or, starting an art gallery in Atlanta or wherever it is. And it feels like you've just done that really well. Like you seem to have really meaningful friendships, and maybe that's just an outside looking in, but I don't know if you have any comments about how you've been able to like foster intimacy in a time that's like kind of hard to keep that going.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. First, I mean, I was living in the space with my babies. I feel like there was like a 2-year period where I kind of dropped off the map, and there was nothing I could do about that. I had them 21 months apart, and so until the first one was 15 months, he couldn't really go into like any kind of like school or daycare program. So I felt like I lived on my living room floor watching The Wiggles for a while, trying to work from my phone. I kind of blocked it out a little bit, but it was a very narrow field of view for me for a while. And I got really lucky. The most amazing woman, who is one of my artists, Mallory Page, who is
I love her work so much.
Isn't it gorgeous? Look how beautiful it is.
It's so pretty.
She is actually a sorority sister as well. And she was the one who introduced me to my first working mom friend, Krista Schwartz. I don't know if y'all have met Krista. She's amazing. She's an interior designer. And I feel like Krista already had 2 girls before that, and our babies were born maybe 2 or 3 weeks apart. And I feel like she opened up a whole new world to me of working mom, how you do it, how you can balance everything, because I really didn't have a blueprint for it, because I'm one of those people that it's like, give me a ladder, I'm going to go on up 30 feet and I'm going to change a light bulb. I'm just a very like, I can do it. I don't need to ask for help. I don't need to ask anyone to help me do anything. And I should have asked for help. And I think that's the first step, is realizing that you can't do it all. And I mean, I had a support system too. I had my parents the whole time, but I should have tried to had childcare with me, because I couldn't justify. I was either paying someone to watch the gallery for me and being here with my kids, or I was paying someone to watch my kids while I was at the gallery, but I was still here. So like I could see them when they were upset or when they were hungry or so it just I couldn't justify it in my head. And I just tried to like, well, I'm going to be here. They're going to be here. We're just going to figure it out. And it was too hard. So like the asking for help part is so important, because sometimes there's that meme that's going around on Instagram. It's like, oh, wow, you're so strong. You're such a strong mom. The mom's like, no, but I need help. I need you to help. I'm like, you were just doing a really great job. Like, no, I'm drowning. I need your help. Like, that is kind of how it was a little bit. And I think when I met my first like friend who had gone through it, I was able to prioritize my time in a different way and ask for help, even though I felt like, oh, well, I should be able to do it all because I'm already here. That's not how it works or should work, because it really does take a lot more than that in order to succeed. And I knew that when I started the gallery, I hadn't gotten engaged or married. I hadn't had babies. And so I was focused on the gallery. And then all of a sudden these wonderful things came into my lap, but I wasn't ready to let go of what I'd worked so hard to achieve. And I feel like now we're in a good place. Obviously they're 5 and 7. They're doing their own thing. They want to see their friends after school. They don't want to hang out with me anymore. So we're in a much different place. But that there was like a period of 2 years where I feel like I kind of had to really reflect on what I needed to do to make it work for both my family and my business, which is really hard. And I think it's hard for a lot of people.
I totally agree. So what were some of those things, like when you really did some self-reflection, that emerged as like things that were going to work for you?
So being able to tell clients or artists that I needed to just call them back tomorrow.
Mhm.
I'm a very, very like, oh, I have 5 minutes. I could do that right now. But I'm stressed the entire time I was doing it because my baby just had a blowout. But I was still like on speakerphone trying to do all of that. And you don't need to do that. People can wait 5 minutes. They can wait till the next day.
Mhm.
I had trouble telling people to wait for me to like get back to them. And so I was constantly trying to do everything at once. And you burn out and you can't do it. So you have to be able to set boundaries, set specific boundaries for yourself and for other people, which is hard because especially for me, I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. No, you can't. No one can. It's too much.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember that period of time in my own practice in wealth management. And it was a similar situation in that I could kind of like put on the gas or put on the brakes. And when my kids were your age, it was just like, I just didn't have as many clients, and that was totally fine.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and it was kind of hard for me because I'm like a achiever. So of course I wanted to like hit whatever like goal I had in my head. But then at the same time, I was like, it's just not going to happen right now. And I knew
Right.
that I'd read this awesome article in the Atlantic about a woman's career versus a man's, and how like a man's career basically just goes straight up like in a line. But a woman, it's like there's these plateaus. You know,
Mhm.
Emily and I are kind of, Emily is in the thick of it. I'm not yet, but heading there soon. Like teenagers are another like really complicated time. And so it's like, I think those baby years where it's like, they just physically need you and that's just it, you know, and then you can kind of put on the gas when they turn 5 or 6 again, because they're starting to create their own little worlds apart from you. And then it gets to be like, you know, complicated again. And so
That's what I told her. I was like, it's like it goes back in time. I mean,
Yeah.
all of a sudden that you just need to be present a lot,
Yeah.
even if you're not interacting with them as much.
And being okay with what that means for your career in that,
Yeah.
in that tiny time frame, knowing that another one's coming up like right around the corner,
Yeah.
you know?
And that was another thing that I was able to do once I got out of my fog. I hired an incredible gallery manager who's still with me, who I adore. And she's kind of like my right hand. And that's what I really needed. And before, I wasn't delegating anything to anyone else. My name was on the door. So I was very like focused on that. But now I could not live without her. I was like, my head would just fly off. There'd be no way.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, so like you kind of talked about your friends, like reaching out and being like, okay, let's first of all, let's make friends with other working moms and other moms who have kids the same age and make those connections, and kind of how life-giving that is to just start interacting socially again. But, you know, when we told people that we were going to be at your gallery, it was really interesting because people said, oh, I just love her. I want to be in her friend group. They have the neatest friend group. They all support each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, out of all the women that we've met, I've never heard anybody say that about anybody else. I mean, a lot of people are well loved and liked, but evidently you created a really strong friend group.
I got really,
moms.
I think that it started with Krista, honestly, when I came out of my little bubble that I was in. And I started seeing people again and trying to be social again. I feel like each event I went to, I kind of made a new girlfriend, made a new contact, and it was very organic how it happened, because we all do something different. We're all different backgrounds. There's not one person that is like, oh, well, yeah, they're very similar. That's what, like, we're very different. Like, we're all very different, to the point where it's like, oh, well, we know that she's going to think this and she's going to think that, so we should do it here. But there's 14 of us, so we're like, we roll in hot when we go places. Sometimes I feel like they're like, oh no, here they come. 14 of them, and they're almost all in 40s. But it's really great because it's special, because some of us have kids, some of us don't. Some of us work, some of us don't, all in different fields. And it's just been really special, especially now when we were locked down for so long, that we were still able to maintain those friendships. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important because you need to be able to ask for help, which I learned late. But
mm-hmm. Well, and just knowing that you have a support system behind you, you can really do anything. Lauren and I talk about this a lot. When my husband died, I was obviously brokenhearted and devastated by it, but I really had complete confidence in my support system. Mm-hmm. And it changed the experience. Like for me, I was like, I know no one's going to let me just like fall. I just had a confidence there that I certainly can't do this alone, but I know that I have the support system, and just how important that is. And with the wealth that we always say, wealth is about so much more than just money. It's about having that healthy lifestyle, those relationships, having, just real value in knowing that you have a support system and people that you can talk to. So I love that y'all have done that. Are y'all like committed to somebody, like if you have a show, are they going to all show up? I love that.
There's a reason why. And we have a giant text chain with everything that's going on with each of us, and sometimes we all can't go, but there's always at least 4 or 5 of us at everything that someone does.
Yeah. Sorry, the dog's growling. All right, so one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday, just a little bit, or the day before yesterday, was about handling the difference between like handling your finances with the gallery and your personal finances, and the difference in that. So when you opened the gallery and started like handling the business side of things, was that natural, or did you get help on that side as well?
I got help to begin with. My one of my cousins is a CPA, so she helped me.
Oh, that's awesome.
God, learning QuickBooks and stuff, I hated it. That is not where my brain goes at all. But she would come and see me once a month and go like this a lot of the time, and figured it out. And now I've hired someone to help me with the gallery. But my husband and I just think it's something that's natural for us. We have separate everything. Like, it's just the gallery is me and he has his, and we choose what we're going to do for the children. Like, I have one kid schooling, he has the other kid schooling. We just divide, but we don't have a joint anything. And so at the end of the year, like when you were talking to me, I was going through my expense report and I'm like, oh my gosh, like so many little lines. I'm like, I don't know. I just want to give this to someone else because it is so much work, but it makes me be on top of it and more proactive because I know it's always coming. And there's a lot of things that it's all glamorous, right? Like I'm taking pictures and a ball gown and all this stuff, but then I'm going through the expense reports, so it has to be, I have to learn how to focus my creative energy towards that as well, because it's obviously just as important for me to be successful. And then for my like personal, like I just send it off to my husband's CPA because I'm like, I can't do the gallery and personal. I'm like, I can't, it's just too much. I got the kids, I got the gallery. It's about all I can handle. Everything else has to go to someone else to help me.
Yeah. Well, so can we talk about the clothes for a minute?
Mm-hmm, I want to.
And how you budget for that?
It's
so fun.
I know we were talking.
Shirt is awesome, or a dress or something. I love it.
I need to like learn how to. I haven't written anything off. I know I probably should for at least the events that I'm doing, but I don't know how people collect art. I collect clothing. I know that sounds so strange, but I was telling you earlier that I have a dress from 1998 that I still wear. Like I'm very specific about, I'm not just a shopper to shop, never, but I will buy something and not wear it for 5 years. but I know I have it. It's very strange. I have a catalog in my head. So if someone invited me to go to something, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to wear. I'm never one of those people that's like, oh, come to this black tie party. And I'm like, oh no, I have to go shopping. No, I've had it for like 5 to 10 years and it just hasn't been worn yet. And I think a lot of that is, I love beautiful art, and I think of the clothing as reflections of that. Like, they are wearable art, and I like finding things that feel like me that I don't see everywhere else. And also for my daughter, I don't know if she's going to like any of it, but I'm going to hold on to it just in case, because that'd be really great. Because my mom and I are the same size and same shoe size as well. And so I've reaped the benefits from that too. I think that's where it all started. Sandra's fault. It's not my fault. She started it. It's totally my mom's fault.
Well, I love it. And I think that's something that we talk about so much here is like, we don't care what people spend their money on. We just want them to know themselves well enough to say like, okay, I really love clothes. So like, maybe jewelry is not my thing, or, having I don't know, super fancy car, or whatever it might be. I think sometimes as women, we like see someone that seems to have it together and we're like, oh, she does this well, so maybe I need to like mimic that, where really we just need to look, instead of looking externally, looking internally and saying, no, this is what I like. Like, I love jewelry. Okay, well, that's just my thing. Like, my dress is from Target, but I love jewelry. So, it's just it's just kind of like making choices that are going to make you feel better anyway, because if you're constantly trying to like project what somebody else may like, or like what seemingly makes them happy, it's going to be difficult to find what makes you happy.
That makes so much sense too, because I've worn the same jewelry for 10 years. I don't ever really change my jewelry at all. I mean, they're like tiny little, that's it, simple, not gonna be crazy. My car is a mess. I mean, soccer balls and all the things, and I don't think about those things, but I will be dressed. I will be dressed.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that. I think it's like, I celebrate that, because that is just a good thing to know. And then
purple dressed, really fancy, but like when the doors open, like bags are gonna fall out and stuff. But I'm gonna be
that's me in carpool line too. I'm like, sorry for the little boy that's like opening the door for my daughters at our elementary school. I'm like, sorry about all the Starbucks cups,
all the footballs and stuff that are falling out. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, we are so grateful that you came on. And one thing that we asked, and you were like, honestly, Martine, one of like the first people to truly support us at the Wealth Edit by becoming a member too. And so we thank you for that. And we want to know why you said yes to the Wealth Edit.
I think I was taking my own advice and being able to reach out and ask for help, because like I said, it's overwhelming for me to do the business part of the gallery, because I'm a creative. And so I need a support. Like when I was asking for like spreadsheets and stuff, I need a way to organize it, because that's the only way I can survive this, like with kids and family life and social life and gallery. I need to be as organized as possible. And when you don't know how to do that or how to start, it's so important to be able to ask for help and to have a community where you can get that information that you need without feeling strange about it. There's other women there that are going through the same thing. And so it's a better feel. You don't feel strange asking for the help.
That's right. Yeah, that's why we built it.
Absolutely.
So, well, we are grateful for your friendship, and we just love seeing all that you do. And I'm coming back from Mardi Gras, so I hope to see you when we come back, if not before. So.
I'll be there.
Okay. Thanks, Martine. Have a good afternoon.
See you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See you later.